Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. And this week, we're looking forward to a potential title decider at Anfield in game week 10. Well, according to Pep Guardiola, but then his side went and dismantled Brighton in any case. Firstly, let me introduce you to someone whose team is definitely in the title race after a huge win on Sunday, our Liverpool correspondent, Dan Lord. How are you, Dan?
Yeah, great, James. Nice to see you all again.
Likewise, my friend. And Sam Murray, our Brighton and Hove Albion correspondent. How are you, Sam?
I'm good. Hello, everyone. Good to be back. Thanks for having me on, James.
You're very welcome, my friend. Firstly, guys, we'll clarify we're pre-recording this on Monday, so that's prior to obviously the two teams are playing Wednesday night, respectively, in the Carabao Cup. Dan, let's talk about Sunday first. Yeah, you're welcome to smile from ear to ear, mate. How good was it for you to beat the enemy 5-0 on their patch?
Yeah, still a bit unbelievable, to be honest. Going off past history, usually, regardless of form, we always struggle at Old Trafford. And obviously United have the cracks have been there all season. They've just got away with it. They got away with it midweek at Atlanta. So I was quite confident we'd probably get the 3 points, but, not to that level of total annihilation, really, wasn't it? So, really satisfying. And like I said prior to coming on live, I'm got loads of mates who are United fans, so that made it even more, pleasing.
I get the impression, Dan, you might have let them know, or they've gone into hiding, one or the other. At what point in the game did you think, "Oh, this could get silly here"? It was 2-0 quite early, wasn't it? Did you think at that point this could be 4-5 and stuff?
I was thinking we could put this to bed by half time with the first 2 goals. I mean, it actually Scholes said it didn't in midweek that if they were playing against a City or a Liverpool the way they played against Atlanta, they could be out of it by half time, and that was kind of in my mind thinking Scholes could be right here. They're at 6s and 7s at the back. They're running into each other. And it was almost too easy. We didn't even play well for the first 20, 25 minutes, yet we were creating chance after chance.
I've got some good news for Manchester United fans. It's Tottenham on Saturday. Sam, what did you make of Pep Guardiola's comments prior to the meeting with you and Manchester City on Saturday? Did you take that as a pinch of salt or a backhanded compliment, this idea that Brighton were perhaps in a title race?
Yeah, he does that a lot. I think he does that every season, and then puts 4 or 5 past us. So, it's just some sort of mind games. I'm not sure he needed it with his team, but he usually bigs up Potter and our team. I think saying we're challenging for the titles is a bit too far, but good to hear. I'll print it out, put it on my wall. I like that.
Listen, it's better than the other way around. The kind of, they're industrious and we've got to concentrate, and they're always difficult to beat. Now, I take it as a compliment, and I think there was a little bit. I was surprised as well because there was a bit of a wind up with the game at the Amex towards the end of last season. Guardiola wasn't happy, and I know Potter apologised for the way he reacted to one of the goals. Were you surprised how open you were in the first half?
Yes, yeah. I think going into the game against City, no one expects us to come out with anything really. But I was a bit disappointed with the way we played in the first half. I think that win at the end of last season probably gave Potter a little bit of false hope, thinking we could go, play against City and match them. That's sort of what we tried to do. We had the back 3, and their City's front 5 or so caused so many problems. They stretched our defence. We had Gross following Gundogan everywhere, Burn on Bernardo Silva, and the problem came from Gundogan and Bernardo Silva almost going forward and playing as strikers, Foden dropping back in, and no one really knew where they were meant to be. I think there was points where we ended up with Burn left midfield and Gross was almost playing centre-back following Gundogan around the pitch. So, yeah, we were so open. I think for the second goal, we lost the ball and Cucurella and Burn and Veltman were all in front of the ball, and suddenly it was a 2-on-2, which seemed crazy. But the second half was a bit better, but the game was already done by then. So, yeah, it wasn't a good first half.
No, you're right. You can take credit certainly from the way you played second half because there's dangers at that point, similar to what happened to to United against Liverpool that you'd 4-1's not a great score, but you could have been looking at a similar, right? 5, 6, 7 and stuff. And you played well second half. Certainly credit from that point of view. I want to talk about Salah, obviously, guys. There's no point hiding from it. Dan, are you captain this week?
Of course.
At which point are we now at the point that it's just got to be done every week until something changes, basically?
No, I don't think it's that case. I'm only joking. I've not even looked properly for the week, but it's kind of perma captains on Salah until you have a look elsewhere. And I said to you prior to recording, that all those who had Havertz and these kind of people, it's not a bad shout. Liverpool notoriously struggle at Old Trafford, and no one expected a Salah hat-trick and an assist and 3 points. And although, yes, he's on fire and he's playing as well as he's ever played since we've been there, you've got to take fixtures into consideration. And United away is not an easy fixture, regardless of United's form and Liverpool's form. So, yeah, he probably will be set on him already, but I'll have a look at it going into the weekend. I'm not quite sure if anyone's actually got anything that thinks they're actually a better choice than Salah, regardless of Brighton.
Yeah, I mean, you'd almost at the point now, even if, I don't know, if you were playing maybe even City or Chelsea at home this week, where you'd probably maybe even be at the position where you're going, I've just got to go with it, because the effective ownership is going to be so massive every week. I saw Sam was looking up to the heavens when Dan mentioned Havertz. Was there a reason for that, Sam?
Thought I was being clever this week going with Havertz.
You and me both.
I've usually not a very risky player when it comes to FPL, but it just seemed to, it was such a good opportunity. A centre forward at home to Norwich, and on another weekend it would have been a lot better for me. But it wasn't too bad. Once I'd, accepted that Salah was going to haul about half an hour in, it was okay from there.
I love the fact that your team failed to score against Norwich the week before and it still didn't put you off. You didn't think, am I going over the top here? You just dived in. I think, Dan, you said it spot on, mate. It's easy to be the hindsight person on it. Sam, you're actually a very experienced FPL player. Where do you stand on it personally on Salah now? I mean, do you just auto-captain against your own team this week now?
Yeah, this week I think I've learnt my lesson last week, and I will be going for Salah this week, definitely. Yeah. In terms of permanently captaining him, it's difficult, because if you don't captain him, you're going against him, because his effective ownership will always be over 100. So it's a difficult one. It depends on your rank. If you've got a good rank and you want to play it safe, then Salah's going to be the obvious choice pretty much every week now.
I got 66 points net, I think, this last week gone, Dan. You got 69, Manchild's favourite number, from your Liverpool treble up. Salah, captain, Jota and Trent. You're going to tell me that's the best Liverpool three to have, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it still is, probably. Obviously, people have wavered with Jota. I just think for 7.5 million, he's staying for me. He might not get the games. It's a bit like Foden, I suppose. When he's in, he's going to get you points. He might not, he might miss out to Firmino. He'll always get minutes, I would have thought, regardless whether he starts on the bench or not. I think he's too good to turn down at that price.
Well, what do you think Klopp's thinking was behind starting him on Sunday rather than Mane? It was certainly a shock to me when I saw he was in the team.
Yeah, no, a shock to me as well. I kind of thought he might play all four and Jota in midfield with the midfield issues we had. I'm not quite sure, because Mane is decent at pressing, but obviously Jota's really good as well. He harasses, doesn't he? Just like Firmino. I don't know. He saw something that, he preferred him, or maybe Mane had a niggle or something, or I don't know. We probably never will, but yeah, a bit of a shock, but happy.
Where are you at, Sam, with Liverpool assets at the moment?
I've just got Trent and Salah. Probably stay like that for a bit. I'm not really sure about. I probably wouldn't look to bring in Jota. I haven't got him, but I'm not sure if I'd be bringing him in. But if I had him, I'd probably keep him. So yeah, for me, Salah and Trent at the minute is fine. Yeah,
my thinking behind keeping Jota was kind of similar to that, Dan. I was looking at short term and going, even as a sub, I reckon he possibly gives me a little bit more than Mason Greenwood. But yeah, it was a shock for me to see him in the team yesterday. But I think it does tell us a little bit about Klopp's trust in the player now, whereas I think always in the big game previously would have reverted to the three main players up front. I wonder in hindsight now, the fact that those three went straight back in for Watford was almost a little bit of a kidology, kind of kidded United a little bit to make them think, well, yep, that'll definitely be the three against us again. Any Brighton assets for you at the moment, Dan? I can see one in your team, mate.
Duffy I had. I put him on the bench this week, obviously. I did have Sanchez early on, and I went away from that just to be a little bit different. And I don't know. I like the look of Cucurella. Other than that, I don't think I'd go anywhere else. It'd be a defensive asset or nowhere. I think with Brighton, for me, they don't score enough goals to be enticing anywhere else across the pitch. I don't think.
What would you say, Sam, on Duffy to people at the moment? Because there's a lot of people who will look at that the weekend and go, oh, shit defensively, and Duffy's come out of the
team. To be honest, if you've had Duffy from near the start, you've done quite well to get 9-10 weeks, whatever is out of him. I think at the weekend, it's not a game that suits him. You look at their front five, Jesus, Foden, Grealish, they're all technical players, they're all dribblers, they're all very quick with the ball at their feet. So maybe it's just a one-off thing where he comes out the team, but I do think more likely now, sooner rather than later, he'll be a bench player with Lamptey coming back in and Webster coming back to full fitness as well. I can't see him starting ahead of, Veltman, Duncan, Webster probably our back three. No, Veltman, Duncan, Webster's our back three. Duffy probably doesn't get in that, but he's done a good job actually since he's been in, and I don't think he probably doesn't start against Liverpool now.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with that. I don't think he'll get back in the team now, particularly as there's Webster to come back. I understand he was close at the weekend. Liverpool would be a big ask to throw him straight in though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, I think, like I said, Duffy, you got a few weeks out of Duffy. That's fair enough. I didn't expect him to be anywhere near the starting 11. And don't get me wrong, he has done a good job, especially, when we played Brentford and Burnley and all he had to do was head it and clear it. He's perfect for that when you got your back against the wall. So he's done a good job, fair enough, but probably not getting in that back three.
I think
he offers such a threat, doesn't he, from set pieces as well? He's
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
I think looking at the fixtures you've got coming up, Sam, kind of looking up towards sort of the new year. West Ham game week 14 away, I ring it and think, yeah, I wonder if he might come in for that game, but it's probably not the sort of game you'd actually want to use him in anyway. The rest of the fixtures, and none of them are teams that you would say big aerial threat. Maybe Villa a little bit. They've started taking long throws, haven't they, with Matty Cash? That's in game week 12. Otherwise, nah. And they're two away games that there's every chance you wouldn't have picked him for anyway, I think.
Yeah. You wouldn't really want to be rotating once we've got a solid back three back in the side. We don't really want to be messing around with that too much. So, yeah, I think longer term he'll be out of the team.
So best for you would be what? Dunk centrally, and then you've got Veltman and Webster either side. Yeah,
I think once Lamptey comes back in, and that might just be against maybe Newcastle at home for Lamp. That's what I'm hoping for anyway, but. Maybe against a bigger side, he goes a bit more defensive and keeps Veltman at wing back. Even then, you've got Burn competing with Duffy as well. So yeah, my ideal back three would be Dunk centrally.
And there's also the system change possibility.
Veltman and
it's a back four, and in that case, it's Webster and Dunk, isn't it, all day long?
Yeah, definitely.
Once Webster's batting the team. Thoughts on Lamptey? It's obviously they're taking it very, very slow with him, aren't they?
Yeah, which is fair enough, but it's so exciting seeing him back when he came on against City. I mean, we were 3-0 down, and straight away he gets everyone up, and every time he runs though, I'm there like thinking that hamstring, just don't run too fast. You got to watch that.
He's not one to easily slow down, is he?
It's a nightmare watching him because I can't.
It's a nightmare playing against him, by the way, mate.
Yeah, he went past that bit of skill. We went past Grealish and some other defender. Yeah, it's so good seeing him back, but I'm not sure if consistent starts are close, to be honest. I'm hoping that he gets some minutes in the cup and then back for Newcastle at home. That's what I'm hoping. He looks
you're
like
too young to remember, Sam, but I remember feeling the same about Michael Owen when his hamstrings were like they were. It was always like, oh, it's this game. It's going, slow down, don't run. Don't. It's hard work, isn't it? When you've got them, it's usually the short players, isn't it? The short, explosive, fast players that struggle.
Exactly. The exciting players, the ones that have got that acceleration. And yeah, we want him in the team, but we've got to be careful with him.
I'm sitting here with Kieran Tierney at the moment, Sam, and if he's ruled out for the weekend, which at the time of recording I've got no information, bearing in mind future transfers, it might be a case that I'm looking at coming down in price rather than up. And I think your team has to come into consideration. If I was to say to you, right, Sam, pick me a Brighton defender up till game week 16, where should I be going for my money?
Yeah, so we got after Liverpool, we've got quite a nice run of fixtures up towards game week 16 where I'll look into wildcard, I think. So you've got, I mean, if Webster comes back in the team for 4.4 million, he'll be fine. He'll tick along with Dunk. Cucurella's the exciting one. I think he's got that wing back spot pretty nailed on now. March has, been rotated in and out, but when he started at the weekend, he was on the right. So I think Cucurella starts more often than not, and he's the one that is going to be an exciting pick in terms of FPL. I think if Webster gets back in the team, then he's the boring pick, but he's the one that will tick along with the points.
You got the free
outside of that, I'm not really too sure. Maybe Veltman, but not really too sure.
You've got the 4 players all on 4.4. Burn, I think we can rule out from this conversation. Actually, 5, and I'd rule out buying Duffy as new as well. If you're on, fine, make a decision, but not to buy as new. So it leaves Webster, Veltman, and is it insane to consider Lamptey? Because I like you, I think, that Newcastle game week 11, he's back in, isn't he?
I hope so, yeah. And I think he starts, the easier games instead of the harder ones. I think if we play against the top teams, we bring in Veltman maybe and go a bit more defensive. So if he's going to be rotated, he'll be rotated for the harder games. I don't think it's crazy to consider him, to be honest. As a bit of a punt, and especially if you've got the wild card as well. Like if he doesn't, if he doesn't play, you've got your way out. So he's an exciting player. He's lively. We know what he can do, and it's not a crazy shout.
Yeah, I look at them 5 fixtures: Newcastle, Villa, Leeds, West Ham, Southampton after this weekend, and that's all I need is those 5. And to be honest, in the case of if Lamptey was to play every week, I'd probably play him regardless. But otherwise, even if there was doubt, like those 2 home games, Newcastle and Leeds, I'd fancy a bit of Tariq Lamptey in them 2, especially. Maybe not Villa and West Ham, because I could see him being, again, left out because of the aerial, actually, of those particular sides. Maybe it's one less body, isn't it, at set pieces. Southampton away is a decent fixture for Lamptey, I would say, as well. So, it just feels a bit insane, though. But the other 2 are boring, Sam. I don't want to buy the other 2.
Exactly, yeah. It is exciting. I mean, I've got Sanchez in my team. So I haven't really thought about getting a Brighton defender. But if you've got nothing, you've got no cover at the moment, pretty highly owned Sanchez. So if you want to get a defender in and you want to be a bit risky, a bit exciting, Lamptey, yeah.
How do you feel about owning Sanchez? Because it feels like every week on my timeline, all I see is people getting frustrated with him. And I think it stems from there is no return higher than 6 this season.
That's it. It's either a 6-point or a 2-point. Well, against City, actually, he made a few saves for once.
4-pointer.
Yeah. I don't think you can complain too much about save points if you're getting the clean sheets. I'm pretty happy with Sanchez at the minute, and with fixtures coming up. Maybe if I wild card over the towards Christmas, I think we've got a few tough games in there, but for the price, it's you get what you pay for, and I think he's doing quite well so far.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think I'd be looking to move that on personally. Are you aware, Sam, of this bizarre stat with Sanchez on the weekend?
No, Is it the passing stat?
Yeah.
He almost played as an extra outfielder.
Most passes ever completed by a goalkeeper in a Premier League match, 58. Only Lewis Dunk completed more. Does that tell us something about you as a team?
I'm not really sure. Like I did notice him get the ball quite a lot. We didn't really get anywhere with it. The ball kept on going back to Sanchez. I'm guessing he almost plays as like an extra outfielder, a sweeper keeper, and he is good with the ball at his feet. He's comfortable passing it around. Sometimes it's a bit scary to watch when they're doing triangles in their own box, but yeah, I guess we're always a team, especially at the back, that tries to keep the ball, and Sanchez isn't afraid of calling for it and having the ball at his feet.
Yeah, Dunk's a bit of a beast for that, for those who play Sky Fantasy. But that's a remarkable statistic, and particularly against Man City. Yeah. Only one Man City player, Cancelo, completed more passes in that game on Saturday. That's mad.
Wow. Yeah,
Dunk obviously sits off a lot deeper, and I'm pleased for you. Goal line clearance aside, I don't think he had his best game at the weekend. But you're so much better with him at the centre of the fray.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think at the beginning of the season, when Duffy came in, Duffy was playing centrally, and it changes the whole dynamics of the team, really, having Duffy centrally. Duffy and having Dunk central in a back three is much better, because he can do all the jobs that Duffy does, but he's also very good with the ball at his feet, bringing the ball out of defence as well. Yeah, we look a much better team with him in the middle.
Jota, Dan, wasn't the only surprising name in the Liverpool lineup at the weekend. Another one for the Sky Fantasy listeners. Yeah, where's Joel Matip? Because I love him in that game, mate. Well, what did you think when you saw that one, Konate in the team? Because I originally thought, what's Matip done now? Look down, no, Matip's on the bench. What was your thinks?
Yeah, again, like you, I was shocked, because actually of the two, you would say Matip's played a lot better. Well, not a lot better, but better than Van Dijk this season. He's been the ever present, and he's done really well. I can only put it down to maybe just I don't know. I think they spoke about it on the commentary, and it might have had something to do with it. How Ronaldo likes the left channel, and obviously Rashford was there, and we all know, people say he's not that bad. Trent isn't great defensively. I'll still stick by that. I think they probably thought they might target that area, and Konate's got a bit more mobility and physicality to his game. I would have thought I really don't know, unless Matip was carrying a little niggle and they thought, what's the point risking him? Maybe he did something in the pre-match warm-up or something that's not come out. It was a bit of a shock, definitely.
What did you think of his performance?
I thought he did all right. He was steady away, really, considering he was a bit jittery early on, made a few kind of weird tackles and gave the possession away and got caught out of position a few times. But it'll come. He's raw, isn't he? He needs some game time to kind of blend himself in. They've obviously seen something about him as the long-term kind of solution to a centre off, and I don't think they probably thought Matip would stay as fit as he has throughout the season. So I really don't know what the thinking was. Maybe that.
What do you think next? Or actually, let me phrase that differently. What would you prefer next for Brighton at home to partner Van Dijk?
Either or. I think they're both good in the air. You need that physicality against Brighton, because they're a big side, aren't they? The back lads particularly. Well, only the back lads, let's say. The three centre halves. If Webster, Byrne, and Dunk or Duffy or any of them play, they're all a real threat, aren't they? And I don't know. I think he'll go back to how it was. I think Matip comes straight back in and play Konate midweek again here against Preston. You'd feel a little bit gutted if you were Matip. He's not put a foot wrong this season and loses his place. I think it's back to what it was.
Yeah, I would think so too. But I mean, Klopp's pulled out a surprising one. I can think maybe pace as well might have been a concern again in behind Trent. I think you're right to highlight that as a possibility. I think it was fairly predictable that Marcus Rashford was going to play out there for United. That's the only other thing I could think. I don't know how comfortable Matip is getting drawn out into fullback positions. I think less so rather than kind of defending the box next to his mate. And like most people would feel very comfortable next to Van Dijk. What would be, Dan, your favoured midfield three at the moment? I mean, it doesn't help that half of them are injured, admittedly.
Yeah, and even more now. Fabinho for definite number one. He'll be the first name down there. And then I'm to be honest, any two of Thiago, if fit, Curtis Jones and Henderson would be my any two of them three alongside Fabinho. But the others have done jobs when they've come in there. Milner's done all right. He's not obviously spring chicken anymore. Thiago we've not seen him this season, and Curtis Jones has done really well when he's come in. And Henderson is, he's had that injury, came back. He's slowly getting up to speed. I've always been a big fan of Henderson when everyone slated him for years, and that pass for Salah was delightful. It's not been spoken about enough. So yeah, any two of them three with Fabinho.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad afterwards reflecting on Monday's podcast, the fact I didn't mention Henderson's assist because probably pass of the season so far, actually. Worldy of a pass. I picked up in the game, Dan, we spoke earlier in the season about Harvey Elliott and this kind of link on the right that obviously unfortunately disappeared with his serious injury at Leeds. And I felt there was a little bit of that coming back with Keita's positioning actually on Sunday. That, unfortunately, we don't know the extent of Keita's injury at the moment. He's probably going to be off the table, but I presume Fabinho, once he's back in, Henderson goes on the right of the three, doesn't he?
I would have thought so. If not, again, Keita's done really well the last few games. He seems to be all the statistics for Keita was that he was a pressing beast, and he always seemed to be a yard off the pace. But actually, the last 2 or 3 games, he's been nicking the ball. Like I think one of the reasons he was brought in by Klopp and the scouts, he seems to have just started to turn that corner a little bit and deliver. So we'll have to see what the injury brings. But he's done well of late, and I think he'd have probably maybe have been on the right-hand side, regardless of Fabinho coming back. And Henderson might be one to, rotate with him.
Sam, if you were pricing up players again for Brighton, would you have Trossard as a forward?
Yeah, he probably would. He's played up front with Morpay pretty much all season now. He's our key man, and I probably would have him as a forward, yeah.
Are we overlooking him? Because he just feels like he was everybody's game week 29's hero from last season, except myself. And that's been about it from terms of FPL. Other than that, lots of near misses. And he's not getting spoken about at the moment, which is understandable in the middle of the City-Liverpool fixtures. But I think even fast forward 2 weeks, I'm not sure unless he hauls against Newcastle that the conversation will be any different.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's our key player really going forward. He's important to the team. Potter really likes him. He's playing 90 minutes every week, but it's the same thing with him. It's just from an FPL perspective, the returns aren't consistent. They're not even really there. If you want to have a punt again up to 16 with good fixtures, then maybe. But I mean, I haven't even considered him myself, so I can't really point people towards Trossard. And around that price, that's the problem, isn't it?
How much
around
is
that
he?
price you've got.
6'4".
I think he's 6.4 now.
6'4".
Yeah. You got Rafinha a little bit more than that, and Ben Rama a little bit more, and Buemo, and got Sarr in there as well, who's the main man at Watford. I don't know. There's lots of options around there, and the same can be said for Morpay. Really, he'll play every week. He's our main man. He's on penalties, but then you've got Tony at the same price. You've got Hwang now at Wolves, Broja at Southampton. So you've just got loads of options there. If any of them hit some form, then maybe, but I can't really point anyone towards.
What's happened to Carlo this season?
I'm surprised he didn't get loaned out, actually. He's not
had a look in at all, has he?
Yeah, and at the weekend where I saw Morpay coming off, and we brought on Mwepu and Connolly still sitting on the bench. We brought on a centre mid for Morpay with half an hour to go. Connolly doesn't even get a chance, so I think he's had his chances, Connolly, and he'll probably play the cup games, but not much more than that.
You couldn't have put him out on loan rather than Zakiri and done me a favour, could you?
Zakiri's scored a few goals as well.
I know. Tell me about it.
Him.
I've had a few weekends. I think he's been my only returnee, mate. I got this guy on my streams. He's gone very quiet since the Norwich game, Sam, but he's been on my case about Neil Maupay. Why don't you talk him up every week? I haven't heard from him for a couple of weeks for obvious reasons. I don't know if he's going to reappear before this Newcastle fixture in game week 11. But I'm taking it from what you're saying there. It's a no for you.
Yeah, I mean, all of our attackers are just not consistent enough. And we scored a few at the beginning of the season, but I mean, I still think we're struggling for goals, really. I mean, Salah scored more goals than our whole team, I think, this season so far. So
I don't think you're the only one, mate.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same.
But yeah, there's not much risk in terms of minutes, and he's on penalties, but I haven't considered him myself, so
What about Bobby Firmino, Dan?
I love Bobby.
I know you do, mate.
Bobby. What about him? I mean, he blows hot and cold, as we know. He's a great player. He's got his mojo back a little bit. He was a bit quiet against United, to be fair, but I don't think he's ever a consideration for FPL. You know, there's other people you'd go ahead with. He's always too pricey. If they dropped him a million quid, then it gives you a bit of a dilemma and a bit of thinking to do about it. But when he's always where he is, around the 9.5, it's a no for me.
No, I get that. There'll be people that have obviously just had Lukaku, possibly at time of recording may have Vardy injured in his place now and going, I'm getting a bit, oh, right, there you go. Dan's put his hand up for the benefit on the audio. Who are now thinking, I've got to go somewhere else. So you in that position, are you thinking, because a lot of people are going to go, I don't want to go to Kane, which I understand. Are you coming down to sort of Maupay level then? Is that where your thoughts are at the moment?
I've not really thought about it. What's the verdict on Vardy?
I don't know. At this stage. I don't think we've got the information at time recording.
I've almost got more fires to put out. I'm having a bit of a nightmare this season.
Join the club, mate.
I've got Saw, Watford bang 5 and he's not even involved. That's a bit of a Havertz story.
Yeah, mate, don't feel sorry for us in any way, honestly.
I've not really thought about it yet. I might actually just hold and see. Depends what the prognosis is. Obviously, they say 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. It becomes a different story, but it's definitely not a story that involves Firmino.
One person that he could do is Mane, right? Which my argument always with Mane is, well, unfortunately, it's so much money for someone you're never going to stick the armband on. But when so many people are just going to stick the armband on Salah every week as it stands anyway, surely, actually, ironically, it brings Mane to the fore a little bit more, doesn't it?
No, I don't buy into that theory of someone's too expensive if you're not going to captain them. I think if they're going to score points, it doesn't matter. But I just don't. Yeah, I would never go Mane over Salah unless.
No. I mean to compliment. Go with Salah.
I meant from a captain's point of view. Yeah, you possibly could do. We've got a decent run coming up on paper. I think we don't play anyone. The next big team is Chelsea again, and I think might be end of January or something like that.
Hello to all the Arsenal fans out there.
Yeah, well, Arsenal. Yeah. Sorry, Arsenal fans.
Save it, Dan.
You're not even in the conversation these days. Mane. I mean, he'll always get you goals, but I think there's cheaper players who'll probably get you same amount of goals, like your son at Spurs. I think he'll get you more goals, and he's cheaper, isn't he? So,
well, and obviously within your own team, it's 4.4 difference between Mane and Jota.
Yeah.
Listen, it's easy to go, well, definitely Jota because he played last weekend, but I mean, Mane will tick over. You almost kind of, there's no point going, oh, well, Mane's got half the points of Salah for 1 million less. We can all see that. You just got to look at it individually now, haven't you? You've definitely got some interesting games coming up. I think you've got a good run basically till 2022 now, actually, Dan. You got Chelsea. It's either before New Year's or just after, one or the other.
Just before, I think.
Yeah. It's a fairly clear run up until then, actually. I should notice you're playing Tottenham before you play Chelsea as well, Dan. So good morning to Tottenham fans as well. And Everton. God, you've picked on a few. I didn't realise how far away that fixture was, my friend. Sam, what are you hoping for Brighton now for the season?
It's the same sort of targets we were setting at the beginning. I think obviously last season we finished lower than we should have, in my opinion. Now we're in 5th, which is probably a bit higher than we should be. If we'll probably settle around mid-table, which would be really good, anywhere from like 9th to 13th. If we could finish there, that'd be a really, really successful season. But if we keep winning, stay in the top 6, it's quite fun being near the top of the table and not being, not looking at the bottom 3's results at the weekend. So I'm all for a European run.
Is it fair to say your league position at the moment is as false as it was last season, but for different reasons?
Well, yeah, I think we've probably been just as good as last season, maybe not even, maybe worse than last season. So find ourselves in 5th is quite funny, really. Actually, how we've been scraping through these games and getting a little bit of luck on our side. But I mean, you look at the teams and the points below us, and it's quite close actually. I think in a few weeks we could easily be back down towards mid-table, which is fine. But yeah, we definitely 5th probably. I mean, compared to Crystal Palace this year, who seemed to be a bit like us last year, I think they've looked quite good in their games, and they're down towards 15th, 16th. So.
The size of your mouth started getting a bit wider when you started saying that, mate.
I just wanted to get that in.
Dan, where do you see yourself in this? Go on, I'm going to make you smile now. 3-horse race for the championship.
3-horse race, like you say. I'd said pre-season that it's probably between us and City, and maybe Chelsea flirting with the maybe getting in there. I think. Possibly they're really in the conversation now. Obviously, they're top at the moment. He's a very good coach, he's Tuchel, and they're very, very good defensively at Chelsea. Even if they're going to struggle for goals, which obviously they didn't at the weekend, you're always looking at a clean sheet with them boys. And it's a 3-horse race. I'm still confident we're well in it. As long as we stay clear of key injuries, I think we'll be there right up until the end.
Last year, Sam, 4 points off of Liverpool. No goals for Mo Salah in those fixtures. I think I captained him in both of them, and he blanked in both of them. Have you got anything over Liverpool, or is it just a case that one was a dodgy late equaliser from a dodgy penalty, and the second one was in the middle of their really bad run where they had no fit players?
Yeah, I think when we beat them at Anfield, everything sort of fell into place for that game. They're in bad run of form, obviously no fans. I think they had, Liverpool had Nat Phillips and Jordan Henderson at centre back for that game, and we still just about scraped it 1-0. So
the good old days.
In hindsight, Dan, it's no wonder you fell away last year, mate. Honestly.
Yeah.
It's the complete opposite this time, really. So if we could get anything at Anfield, we'd be so happy.
Are they, Dan, the sort of side that concern you or worry you in any way?
I like Brighton. I like the way they play. I like the philosophy that Potter has. I think they're always competitive. They never fall away. They're never going to give you a game. Obviously, City, battered them, but they showed up in the second half, like Sam said. It's always a tough fixture, and I don't know historically how the results go, but I know last season, obviously, what you said, but I always feel like they're a bit of a bogey team. And it might not be the case because I know I can think of a few kind of 3-0s where we've won comfortably. But we won't underestimate anybody. And Brighton on Saturday at the weekend, will be the same.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Let's do predictions before we finish up. Correct scores for the weekend. Dan, as the home team?
I'll go for a 2-0 Liverpool.
Sam?
3-1 Liverpool.
Why did I think you were going to say Brighton for a second there, mate? So you fancy yourself a score, though, yeah?
Yeah, that's me being quite optimistic, maybe. I never predict us to win, so if we get a draw, it'll be amazing. But I can't really see anything other than a Liverpool.
I'm going to find you really a very interesting COTC in the future to test that theory, I think. I'm going to go 2-0. It doesn't smell like a game that he says after saying Mo Salah definitely wouldn't leave Old Trafford with the match ball. It doesn't smell like a game that I think Liverpool are going to go and give Brighton a hiding. I agree with Dan's opinion. I think 2-0. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's 2-1, actually. I think what happened to you Saturday is a little bit unusual, Sam. And I think there's probably be lessons learned quite quickly from that. And I think you'll probably go there and be a lot more pragmatic and try and frustrate. I just think, Dan, at the moment, you're flying, absolutely flying. And when Liverpool get in that mood, it becomes a fairly unstoppable force. The crowd will obviously be bouncing off the back of last week as well. So I think it all adds into a fairly routine home victory, in my opinion. And yes, I will captain Mo Salah this week, and so will Sam. And even when Havertz has that great home fixture in game week 11, we're still going to captain Mo Salah again, aren't we, Sam?
Who's playing Norwich, by the way?
This week?
Yeah.
Not Kai Havertz, mate. Leeds.
Oh. Yeah, Leeds can't buy a result at the moment, can they? Really?
Brentford have Norwich in 11. I guess that's the one when you look at the fixtures, just briefly looking at kind of over the next few, West Ham away for Liverpool in 11, you think, ooh. But then the alternatives, like you've got Chelsea at home to Burnley. I don't think Mason Mount owners might go there again. I don't think us Kai Havertz owners will. Arsenal at home to Watford. Tottenham are at Everton. City and United play each other. So, I mean, could go a City player, basically, maybe on what we saw Sunday, Dan. But yeah, you're just going with Mo, and you
won't go Mount, would you? You'll wait another 4 years before Mount gets an hat-trick, and that'll be like in the Carabao Cup away to Carlisle or something.
Oh, it'll be whenever they play Tottenham, game week 22 or something. I think it is probably, it will come round. But I think when it's close enough, the thing is, I think for us who gambled this week, I didn't think it was close enough. I thought when you went there in the title winning year, you'd won every game before you went there. It was like a foregone conclusion you'd go there and win, and they nearly beat you. Adam Lallana got a late equaliser, and they really showed up. And I thought they'd be so up for it again on Sunday. It obviously didn't happen. Anyway, hindsight, what a gift. Thank you very much, Dan. Where can everyone follow you on Twitter, my friend?
FPL_Local Lloyd. That's me on Twitter.
That's your one, mate. And Sam?
FPL Seagull.
Seagulls. Thanks very much. Good luck for the weekend, guys. Thank you both for your time. I'll be streaming again on YouTube, 3 p.m. UK time tomorrow with Ask James ahead of Saturday's 10 a.m. UK deadline stream. Next week's Clash of the Correspondents, I can tell you, is with FPL tactician and Aaron Lagor previewing Leeds against Leicester City ahead of game week 11. Thank you very much again to Dan and Sam. Good luck this weekend, gents. Cue music, please, man, child.